Aquaman is Godzilla. Alright, let me explain. Like Godzilla, Aquaman has several incarnations. I mean, we have the gung-ho adventurer energy of the brave and the bold Aquaman. We have the no-nonsense Flashpoint Aquaman. And we have the Matthew McConaughey Aquaman of DC superhero girls. At least I think he's doing a Matthew McConaughey expression.
Man, let's do this.
I'm not entirely sure, but he's a very chill Aquaman, to say the least. And last but not least, we have the I was almost Lobo, or I'm going to be Lobo, Jason Momoa Aquaman. Alright, Aquaman The Lost Kingdom is the final chapter of Snyder's DC universe of movies, and it's been a rough train. I mean, decisions were made, movies were jumbled together, sometimes it didn't make sense, sometimes it did. But this is the end, until we see James Gunn's vision of a DC universe. I really hope it does better. Alright, everyone's favorite punching bag hero is back. He's a dad, he's the ruler of Atlantis, and is trying to keep it all straight. James decided to speedrun old Arthur through leagues of character development and make him a family man in this film, with a cute little Aqua baby. Is this what the film's about? It's about him juggling parent life and being a king? Nope! Alright, it's a very weird thing with superheroes and sequels. I mean, when we get a sequel, we usually want it to be something that enhances the character. You know, Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil, isn't all the season. It enhanced the character. Daredevil learned something new and he grew as a character throughout. Even in the Spider-Man films, this happens. Alright, now, is this a sequel that is warranted its existence? Is this a movie that builds the character out, adding to Aquaman's story? Not really. Now, is this a movie that moves at breakneck speed with fun moments that in between kind of feel like an underwater Star Wars comic with the final villain that feels more like that Mysterio fight in Spider-Man 2? No, not that one. Yes, that one. And yes, it does. And you know what? I enjoyed it and I was entertained. But I didn't love the movie. This movie, it feels like I'm watching an episode of a DC cartoon that's moving at a very fast pace from plot point to plot point. It has several plot threads that don't really amount to much. I mean, we learn that there's a council that Aquaman answers to and that shoot down his ideas and that he's at odds with. And they're introduced in the beginning and then they just show up at the end. What was the point if they had no real consequence to the story? Aquaman still does what he wants to do even though they're disagreeing with it and there's really no real consequence to that. And this council's forgotten until the end of the movie just to show their reaction to a decision Aquaman makes at the ending. This movie will introduce an idea or a plan and then boom! We're now doing that plan. I want to break my brother out of jail. Boom! We're doing that. We need to steal this Energon from the Autobots. Boom! We're doing that. And if you're lost in the movie, well, lucky for you, Randall Park's character constantly talks on his tape recorder to give us an exposition dump on what the villain wants and what we are currently doing. Alright, you all caught up? Boom! We're now in a jungle. Now, this movie had multiple writers. I mean, we had James Wan, David Leslie, Johnson McGoldrick, I hope I pronounced that right, and Jason Momoa. And you know what? This could be why it felt like there were so many plot threads. I mean, James Gunn's name is on this film, but it doesn't really feel like his work. Like, he doesn't shine through his moments of being, his roots of being horror adjacent. And there's all these multiple plot threads that were done by everyone else, such as Aquaman being a dad, him being at odds with the council, his relationship with his half-brother, Orm, and the situation with Black Manta. We'll get back to that. And the plot thread with the Black Trident. Yes, this Black Trident is the main aspect of the movie. Black Manta happens to find it while trying to find Atlantis, or trying to find something to defeat Aquaman. And for the rest of the movie, Black Manta is brandishing this Black Trident, which is possessing him to continue the story, to release this great evil king that we don't really know too much about. And the movie doesn't really explain too much about him until we get a big exposition dump just before the final act takes place. And this trident, while it makes Black Manta stronger and able to fight Aquaman on par, it really makes Black Manta just a boring villain in this movie. And I love Black Manta. I mean, ever since I saw Young Justice Season 2, I realized just how awesome of a villain Black Manta is, and Aquaman the Lost Kingdom just wasted this character. We didn't get the revenge sequel we were promised at the end of the first Aquaman, of Black Manta promising to get revenge on Aquaman for killing his father and doing this to him. I mean, they had this actor that played him, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who was a good actor. I mean, he killed it in Candyman as Anthony McCoy, and this guy can act, and we got a taste of his acting of Black Manta in the first Aquaman, and I was excited to see more of that. This guy's playing one of my favorite villains, a villain that can be ruthless and badass, and Anthony's able to throw jokes and be very intimidating and he was great when he was actually Black Manta. And Anthony, I'm sorry. You got hired to basically play the same role Jeremy Renner played in the first Avengers movie. Just some possessed lackey that's making way for a bigger villain who was even more of a big disappointment. Black Manta spends most of this film King Magnifico'd out with just green eyes and scowling and being controlled by an evil black trident by a Sauron wannabe. Alright, enough ripping on this film. Let me tell you parts that I really enjoyed about this film so we can end this off on a positive note. Jason Momoa, he still gives so much energy to the Aquaman character, making it his own, and you can tell he's really enjoying himself. He's cheering and having a fun time with the film. He has really good chemistry with Patrick Wilson when they're both on screen. We see these two estranged brothers bond and have fun moments together, with Jason Momoa, the more laid-back guy, and Orm, the very much playing the straight man. It's that kind of duo, and it works really well. Even Randall Parks, who plays Dr. Stephen Shin in this film, had good interactions with Black Manta, and I wish we could have saw more of those interactions. It could have been a good opposition to Aquaman and Orm, Black Manta, and Dr. Stephen Shin. And, alright, we also have all these really fun set pieces in this movie. I mean, we have a desert prison break that's just a fun time to watch. We have a octopus that's just being crazy and slithering. It's really insane just how smart octopus can be and just how they can fit into tiny cracks. Ooh, it's kind of creepy. I mean, we have this Finding Nemo sunken gangster ship lair that feels straight out of Star Wars. We basically have Skull Island in this movie, and what really felt like the gates of Mordor, the Black Gate. I'm not kidding, the last two set pieces in this film are basically Skull Island and the Black Gates of Mordor. And the choreography in this film is actually really great when they're not trying to do something too over the top. All the Black Manta fights and Aquaman are great, and oh my gosh, his costume, oh, it's just so beautiful. I wish he would have been the Black Manta we deserved and not just some possessed fool. And it's all just so beautiful. And like I said, I liked the film, and it was a fun comic book movie. It just wasn't really anything to write home about or maybe watch on multiple viewings. Anthony, if you ever do come back as the Black Manta character, I hope their main focus is on you, and that, hey, maybe they'll give you Aqualad, your son, so I can see a recreation of this amazing Young Justice scene.
I will teach you to be ruthless, Calderon, even if I must beat that lesson into your skull!
Wait. Actually, you know what? I take that back, what I said about James Wan not feeling like his signature was on this movie. Because I just realized our boy does love to have his people possessed in his films, especially Patrick Wilson.